We've got some new folks, some a young up-and-comer you may have heard a little bit about, especially recently in the news, the extremely controversial Hasan Piker.
It's crazy that he gets talked about like this now. Because I got so used to being that guy.
With 10 condemnations and disavowals before we continue.
Let me just go through the panel here and ask everyone if they could just real quick condemn Hasan Piker, please.
Major
order. Like, how are we doing this?
Condemn.
You're a little bit. Condemn. Leah, I'm going to get to you in just a second, but Hasan, I know that you have kind of limited time, and I saw you're out at the No Kings rally today. What was that? What was that experience like? Are people upset? Like, what's the vibe after all of this news coverage about you?
Or are people upset at me? No, obviously, if that's what you're asking. But the vibe is always the same at these rallies. There's a lot of kind-hearted liberals, like self-identifying liberals, that unfortunately don't have the language to like adequately communicate exactly what their frustrations are. Because there's a limitation there where I think that's part of the reason why they express like no kings, right? It's all encompassing. But they're very clearly agitated with not only the Republican Party, not only with Trumpism, MAGA, but they're also somewhat frustrated with the Democratic Party due to the Democratic Party's feckless indifference to all of these problems that are taking place from the domestic issues, the issues around the economy, but certainly the endless wars that we are waging for no discernible reason. But yeah, what's always interesting to me is the demographics. It's always like older, somewhat well-to-do white liberals that are primarily attending these sorts of movements.
Good, Paul.
It's very diverse. It's much more diverse this time around, and there were a lot of people.
I noticed that too.
But I do see it as somewhat of a pressure valve where like clearly people are frustrated and they just don't really know what to do. And that is born out of the fact that the options, the more productive, historically, the more productive forces of pressure have been totally eradicated in this country. And I'm of course talking about like labor militancy. Mm-hmm. So that's why there's no political education.
I'll be on a
to
future
properly
panel,
express these desires. And there's no real like
later today
pressure point that they can lean into that revolves around organizing. So we just kind of walk around the street a little bit, bang some drums, and feel a little bit better about ourselves. Now, to say all of that doesn't mean that
like 6 or so,
this is utterly unproductive. I'm not criticizing it at all. I think it's always great when people go outside and show that they have the numbers and show this administration that is somewhat responsive to big crowd sizes, as we know. That there are a lot of people who hate them. So it was good.
I think it's also just like gives people some courage to see the numbers out in the streets too. And Hasan, I think one of the strategies, in terms of you have these mainstream politicians who realize now that they are wildly at odds with the base of the party is now, I think this is part of what's happening with the whole decision to like demonize you, even after Cuomo tried this and it didn't work too well in the mayor's race, is they also don't want to have to talk to you because they know they're going to have to answer questions that are going to make them look really bad.
Yep.
So I think that's part of what's going on here too. Like
it's
Alyssa
really
Slotkin,
tough to make a compelling argument for the way
bounds,
we stick our neck out for Israel.
She doesn't want to have to answer the questions that you would put to her.
Yeah, I find it really funny because like I never invited them onto my show. They're just like saying that they refuse to talk to me ahead of time, and it's very funny because like
it's a virtue signal. Who are they trying to signal to?
Establishment liberals that have wanted to come on the show, and I've kept it private in the past, but one of them actually happened. My refusal happened in front of a New Yorker journalist, and I didn't realize that wasn't off the record. So that's. If you want to find a name, I'm not going to say it, but it's on a New Yorker magazine article. Now, what's interesting is, you nailed it. These guys don't want to have that conversation at all, And I think what they are trying to do, what they think is they're operating with an old guard mentality where they think like, oh, it's very prestigious for a random Twitch streamer to appear alongside a politician. It's giving them credibility. It's very prestigious for a random Twitch streamer to get favorable media coverage from legacy publishers, like the New York Times. We went to the Vanity Fair's Oscar party. Like, we have to do something about this. And what they don't understand is that in the new media environment that we exist in, I get a lot more real, broad awareness out there when I appear on Theo Vaughn's show.
Yep.
That's just the reality.
Absolutely.
The eyeballs and the attention are, maybe fortunately or maybe unfortunately, in the hand.
Democrats are so delusional about the relevance of new versus old media, and Republicans aren't. Trump understood the value of going on Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, et cetera, but Democrats genuinely think that like another fucking NBC panel conversation or something is going to make the difference on pitching the new policy. It's insane how out of touch they are.
There are politicians that I want to hype up. I mean, Oliver's in here right now. He was one of the people that we both fundraised for and also had on and interviewed. So I think a lot of people know understand it.
Oliver's running against Jared Moskowitz in Florida in a Democratic primary, and very important race there.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, most people understand that, and that's precisely the reason why they are hearing, Third Way make a big fuss about this issue and demanding that Democrats draw a line in the sand, and maybe even getting a little bit of help from some of the other advocacy groups and lobbying arms that we have heard from earlier.
What is that?
I'm of course referencing Israel. That
it was an Israeli reference.
Sorts of call-out posts.
Do you think they really think that about media, or is legacy media just easier to control with regard to messaging about Israel? I think it's both. I think they like the fact that legacy media is more in lockstep on like consensus positions, but I also think a lot of Democrats are genuinely delusional about where people get their news from these days. A lot of them are super old.
Absolutely about apartheid. And it's absolutely about denying aid to Israel, like conditioning aid to all countries, but certainly denying aid to Israel for its crimes. It's illegal in our laws for us to give a single dime to Israel, because they're very clearly using it to it is absolutely illegal for us to give money to international human rights laws.
Yeah.
This is what I mean about, like, the problem is the Democrats aren't being liberal enough. We have laws on the books that prohibit the sale of weapons to or the giving of aid to regimes that are committing war crimes. And the Biden State Department found credible evidence that Israel was committing war crimes, and the Biden administration squelched that report. There was an internal revolt in the State Department, and a bunch of people left over it because they had evidence that Israel was committing war crimes, that they were bombing hospitals and so on and so forth, refugee camps freely without like military targets legitimizing it, and it was squelched, and they didn't run through with it, and it is against the law. Like, they actively inhibited a criminal investigation, or I guess not really a criminal investigation, but an investigation into criminality. Those were liberal laws.
Any Muslim, no matter how white they are, like me, is automatically anti-Semitic. The suspicion that they're always, of course, going to be anti-Semitic is totally ridiculous. And we saw this with Zoran, not only just like my association being used or being weaponized against him in some way, even though it was a spectacular failure, obviously, but also tying Zoran back to like religious extremism, tying myself back to religious extremism. And we're now seeing that happen with Abdullah al-Sayed in his race in the Democratic primaries in Michigan. It's very cynical, but I think people are recognizing exactly what the issue is about. They just don't want to have a conversation around Israel, because you can't have a real conversation around Israel on moral terms. They've lost that argument. So they try to say anyone who speaks out against Israel is an anti-Semite. And in this circumstance, they're heavily leaning into the Islamophobic associations by claiming, Abdullah al-Sayed, he's a Muslim guy. What does that mean for you? How does that make you feel? And what's really remarkable about that race is that this is the exact same issue that took place in the 2024 election. This was the exact same problem, that they chose not to associate with the Palestinian cause. They did not recognize that this wasn't simply some sort of ethnic or sectarian tension, that there were people of good conscience that came from every different background that understandably saw the horrifying violence that was unfolding on our timelines and wanted the Democrats to put an end to it because they still had this notion that the Democrats actually do
remember how TikTok was one of the main ways young people were learning about the genocide in Palestine, and in response Democrats and Republicans were both like, well, can't have TikTok anymore, Chinese app, we can't control them, gotta sell that off. And then Biden presided over that bill being passed and then allowed Trump to take control of it, and then it got kicked over to the Ellisons, and now TikTok is like run by insane far-right Zionists. It's not
remarkable to see Haley Stevens, who's already an AIPAC stooge, obviously, but then also
very not nice. That was my boy. Did you? I'm sorry. That came right from the
very.
That came right from the
not so
back
subtle
of the
way by drawing a line in the sand on a 90-10 issue.
Is it muted? Did I mute it? Could hear a damn pin drop.
So that's a great question. I've been tracking Tucker Carlson's activities quite closely since 2016. I've often said he's one of the most dangerous propagandists because he has a very good way of making white nationalist talking points incredibly palatable. And even back in 2016, people used to associate the stuff that he was saying with like very prominent white supremacists and white nationalists, like the Great Replacement theory that he routinely
still talks about it. Talked about it with Professor Jan. Yeah.
And now that's actually become a mainstream fixture of the Republican Party. And as trend lines go, maybe it'll be the Democratic Party's main, talking point as well in the next 4 years or so, the way that they've been approaching things and following the Republican lead. Having said that, one of the things that I am very frustrated with Tucker Carlson is that he's a very skilled communicator. He's also fairly good at reading the room, even though he's a propagandist. He's very good at reading the room, and he has recognized, and I don't know if he's genuine about this or not, but it doesn't really matter. He's recognized that this issue, Israel's genocide of the Palestinians, is one where he can lead, right? My fears is that for the time being, it's great. Maybe he's able to bring some Republicans to a more humane position on this issue alone, but that's not being reflected in the poll results, right? Republicans seemingly are operating like a cult. They don't really care. Tucker Carlson says he's against the war in Iran. Well, 100% of MAGA says they're for it. And overall, I believe, like 85% of Republicans are approving of this bombing campaign that's destabilized the entire world. So my frustration and fear is that if Democrats don't lead on this issue and lean into their base on this issue, because that's
the loudest and most effective anti-Iran war and anti-Zionist voice will be Tucker Carlson, which is incredibly dangerous and like a nightmare scenario for me and for everyone and for fucking American Jews. But it's a scenario the Democrats are basically guaranteeing if they continue to like silence every anti-Zionist, anti-Israeli voice in the party.
On himself. And if the Democrats don't spend the next couple of years also leaning into their base and advocating for this issue, advocating for freedom for Palestinians, sovereignty and dignity for them, advocating to end these wars that we are waging this time directly because of Israel with Iran, they're going to lose. It's that simple. They're going to lose because Tucker Carlson will have had tremendous credibility on this side.
Or like possibly worse, they might win and then be like Keir Starmer. They might drive the Democrats down to like 9% favorability because the Democrats get in, narrowly win against the stupidest, most evil people on earth, and then do nothing, and everyone's disappointed after, We can't survive another Biden, dude. The Democratic Party is already down at historically low popularity. Another Biden administration, something like that, maybe even worse than Biden, because Gavin Newsom is worse than Biden is. Like something like that it'd be a fucking apocalypse scenario. We would enter like a 100-year Reich for the Republicans.
And I'm just simply able to communicate it to this audience. You're not going to be able to recreate something like this. You're not going to be able to make like a pro DNC version of this, right? Not an independent media. Most people are going to recognize that this is like indecent, and they're going to want someone to reflect their values. We're seeing a version of that on the Republican side. Look at Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro was very popular. Ben Shapiro is funded by the same people, the same institutional donors that have funded the Republican Party. The Wilkes brothers, for example. And now look at Ben Shapiro's popularity. because he's so demonstrably Israel first, that is
Dems popularity be fine if Vaush and Hasan weren't so mean to dem politicians. It is insane how weak third way strategists make the Democratic Party look when they argue that people like Hasan are going to tank the Democrats' chances. If your only ability to win the presidential after this fucking nuclear bomb of administration is not getting yelled at by people to the left of you online, you don't have a political party. Your coalition doesn't exist. Like, if that's genuinely how weak you are, it's fucking done. It's over anyway, okay? I agree Hasan has influence. I think I have influence. But, like, if that's really the line, after this party, you should be winning 2028 by, like, a fucking 65-35 margin.
Yep, it's absolutely right.
She agrees
Hasan,
with me.
thank you so much for coming on, and all the other candidates here. You can Oliver Larkin, Heart So Gray, and Qasim Rashid.
Like, that's my point. Like, okay, do I acknowledge that my criticizing the Democrats for their bad positions might be a problem? Like, for their numbers? Sure, all they have to do is change those positions. That's how democracy works. If they do something that's bad and wrong, and I have a problem with that, what am I supposed to do? Be quiet about it forever? Never let it be addressed? Just let them falter? The reason the Democrats are so ineffective right now is because they want to address these issues, because they are ineffectual, because they are slavishly devoted to Israel. And if they continue to act that way, well, we'll see how it fucking goes then, won't we?